What's up, YouTube? What's up, Facebook? Thank y'all so much for being here. And I want to talk about a few things today. The first thing I want to talk about is Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a congresswoman for the Republican Party, has been banned from Twitter. Robert Malone, an mRNA innovator, we're going to talk about him. He says he invented it. A lot of people think he does. The media tries to smear him and say, well, he didn't invent it. He was just, one of the people who helped move it along. So I think we can both agree that he's an innovator, somebody who brought that technology and at least worked on it early on and got it to that point. He's been banned from Twitter. We're going to talk about that. I'm not just going to complain about it. I actually have links. So if you want to check the links, I'm going to promote a lot of alternate social media now. I think it's starting to grow. I have my Getter account in the description or in the title. I just made it today, inspired by Robert Malone and Rogan. I have a BitChute account. I have a Gab account. I have a Rumble account. I have a Telegram. And these are things that I'm going to keep promoting more and more so we can build up off of big tech, because clearly they are authoritarian medical tyrants who are not interested in free speech in America or a discussion. So it's time to really keep building. So that's what we're going to talk about, not just cry about it, but start to promote in other places. I've already done that, by the way. My videos, I think, have over 1 million views on BitChute. I have a decent following on Rumble, Gab, etc. So we're going to just keep building those. Telegram, we're almost up to 70,000 people. So we've already started to build my free email list, etc. But you get it. We're going to talk about that, Twitter banning people, what we're going to do about it. And then also I want to talk about the second story, which is, I don't want to say it's funny, but they're trying to basically cancel Business Insider is really trying to cancel ELF. I guess on Christmas they put out this article. I'm a little late, but it says ELF makes fun of disabled adults through Buddy, whether purposeful or not. And although this seems like a harmless take or a harmless story, I really want to explain how comedy really works, and also how they're trying to push authoritarianism through social justice to the point where nothing's funny anymore, nothing works anymore, nobody, innovates anymore. Like this equality of like blah, everything's blah. And that's just not comedy, because although I think people should be nice to disabled people and be just nice to everybody, all good comedy is based on something. There has to be a racial, religious, political, realistic, there's got to be some joke in there that's not just like, I went to the store and I waved to the cashier and he was a really nice guy and I was a really nice guy and he waved and I ate a bagel and he ate a bagel and that's the end of my joke. It's like it doesn't work. That's why movies suck now. It's why comedy sucks now. Let me rephrase that. It's why mainstream comedy sucks now, like SNL, and then Michael Che goes on his Instagram to cry about Tim Dillon or whatever. But the great comedy is being innovated on the outskirts of regular society because they've forgotten what makes a joke a joke. So we're going to kind of break that down and hopefully not ruin comedy with that breakdown. James said, Happy New Year. Jason gave me $1. Appreciate it. Just $1? No, I'm just kidding. I'm like a stripper. You just throw $1 at me. You're like, all right, let me get the buffalo wings and no, I'm just kidding. I appreciate it. You don't have to give anything. I'm just joking. Speaking of which, real quick, before I get into the big story, which is Robert Malone and Marjorie Taylor Greene banned from Twitter, and I want to highlight what Marjorie Taylor Greene says she got banned from Twitter for. She says that she was, tweeting VAERS and Twitter, and I saw some mainstream articles saying this is her multiple, I guess, offenses against medical misinformation or whatever. But I want to talk about VAERS and where it comes from. The vaccine, real quick, this is just a factual statement. VAERS stands for Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, and it's actually our government. It's the best that we have to report adverse effects from vaccines. And they want to act like it doesn't exist and just like completely eliminate it out of the discussion, even though it's a governmental program, which is crazy. So we got to talk about that. But before we start, I want to say this, Getter, Rumble, BitChute, Gab, all of these alternate platforms, I have the link there. So if you want to follow me, I'm going to start trying to post more there, share more information that I wouldn't share on Facebook or YouTube because they're psychotic, evil, authoritarian losers who lie about everything. So I think we're going to start doing that more. And that's the way to build. And I want to say this too, my hats, dreamrare.com, my sweatshirt. One thing that this does, besides obviously give you some comfy stuff to wear, some cool stuff to wear, I think the brand of it, like when you wear this out and somebody says, hi, I've gotten into so many conversations like, oh, And I've met great people just through them complimenting it, but it gives me money. Obviously, there's revenue for me. The great thing about that, besides everybody likes getting money to some extent, is that it makes me less reliable. If I make 100% of my income on Facebook or 100% of everything I do on YouTube, then I'm, reliant on that to make a living. And it starts to kind of weigh on your mind a little bit, like it would a normal job that they're trying to force vaccinate you or you leave. These are things you think about. I'm really working towards building revenue and other sources, even more than I already have. I already consider myself at the point where I don't care what they think, and I'll say what I want anyway. But that's one of the great things about this and about alternate networks is if we could start to build revenues, community, time, make those more profitable for these people and ourselves, then we don't have to rely on these networks as much that are trying to censor us and they hate us. So, good luck to everybody on that list. Gab, Getter, may the best man win. Marjorie Taylor Greene was kicked off of Twitter, and she claims it was because of her tweet about the VAERS, vaccine adverse event reporting system. And I have to be honest, I don't know for sure what she tweeted. I can't verify if it was true or not. But one thing that I do know is, and I do want to talk about this as accurately as I possibly can to educate people on what's going on if you don't already know. They don't want anybody talking about VAERS. Like I for sure know that. It seems to be something that Google, kind of puts a quash on in their algorithm. Rogan's talked about it, how if you go to duckduckgo.com versus Google, you find a totally different set of information. And it's not like this conspiracy theory that Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, which is owned by Google, Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, they have so much power that they're really dominating the scientific and pharmaceutical discussion, as if you mention VAERS, you're a wild conspiracy theorist from like Pluto. And it's not true. I actually know somebody that's a few years younger than me that I went to college with. She's paralyzed or semi-paralyzed in her arm. She can't lift her arm up. I forget what she has, but it's confirmed from her doctor. She filed it with VAERS, which is the Vaccine Adverse Injury Report System. It's a vaccine injury. These things really do exist, even if they say they're rare. It's not rare if it's you. It's not rare if it's your family member or your friend. And when you're giving out billions upon billions of injections, they become less and less rare just based off the data. If you give 10 versus you give 10 billion, there's going to be a more number of people who are affected from them positively and negatively. So it's a real thing. And what's important is with all this censorship on Marjorie Taylor Greene, I can't tell you what she said or how she phrased it, but this is the history of VAERS because I want people to understand what it is, where it came from, and then we could have a discussion about how accurate it is because I think critics on both sides of this equation do not think that it's 100% accurate, nor is most things in this world. So this is right off the website. It's vaers.hhs.gov. It says about VAERS. Established in 1990, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, VAERS, is a national early warning system to detect possible safety problems in U.S. licensed vaccines. VAERS is co-managed by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, and the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. VAERS accepts and analyzes reports of adverse events, possible side effects after each person has received a vaccination. Anyone can report an adverse event to VAERS. Healthcare professionals are required to report certain adverse events, and vaccine manufacturers are required to report all adverse events that come to their attention. So this is not, I'm not saying what Marjorie said or what other people say, because I can't, I'm guessing there have been thousands of people who have said it, right and wrong. But in general, this is a government program to monitor adverse effects from vaccines. It's real. It exists. And the reason it exists is actually very important. I've talked about it quite a few times, but I believe it was established under the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. So this is off of Wikipedia. I could read it from other sources, and obviously Wikipedia is not the be-all, end-all, but it gives a pretty decent briefing of what it is. The National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, NCVIA, of 1986 was signed into law by United States President Ronald Reagan and was part of a larger health bill on November 14th, 1986. The NCVIA's purpose was to eliminate the potential financial liability of vaccine manufacturers due to vaccine injury claims, to ensure a stable market supply of vaccines, and to provide cost-effective arbitration for vaccine injury claims. Under the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, the NCVIA created a National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, was created to provide a federal no-fault system for compensating vaccine-related injuries or death by establishing a claim procedure involving the U.S. federal claims and special masters. So I know that sounds a little confusing, so I'll break it down simpler. In 1986, they passed something called the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. Before that, there's many reasons people could say that they passed it, but people were starting to report vaccine injuries and it was starting to become a problem for big pharma. If you have liability, whether it's 1, 10, 100, 1,000, or however many people, it becomes a risky bet to push a product that, when it's given to a large amount of people, even if the side effects are rare, to have to compensate them was starting to become a problem. Once they passed the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, this doesn't apply to every vaccine. In fact, I believe the coronavirus vaccines or injections are protected under the PrEP Act, which maybe we'll talk about later. That was signed into office by George Bush. But anyway, this basically gave Big Pharma a liability shield. So it's like, if your vaccine is protected by the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, doesn't matter if there's side effects, injuries, or deaths, you, the vaccine manufacturer, will have no liability and won't have to pay those victims. However, there is a few ways that victims can get paid through the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. And one of the, I guess, I don't know if caveats would be the right word, but one of the, things in that larger bill apparently was to establish VAERS, which is a government program. It's not a conspiracy theory. Alex Jones didn't invent it in Texas at InfoWars Studio. It was made by the government, and it's called the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, because now that they're taking away liability from Big Pharma for injuries and side effects, the government wanted to have some sort of a system to still report them and still try to pay out some of the victims of vaccine injury. So VAERS is real. I don't know what to tell people. Is it accurate? I would say probably not, based off of what I'm hearing from both sides. People who are very outspoken about vaccine injuries would say that it's underreported. I know Robert F. Kennedy, who's been banned from most social media, he tells people that there's been studies that say that only 1% of vaccine injuries are reported. That's what he says. You would have to fact check him and look up those studies if you want to believe that or not. The critics on the other side, who are very pro Big Pharma and pro vaccine, would say, VAERS is not accurate. Anybody can report a vaccine injury, so that doesn't mean that it's confirmed or not. I believe, I can't fact check this right now, but I believe from what I know, you are under penalty of some sort if you lie to VAERS, because it's a government program. So I wouldn't say it's easy to lie, but I'm sure it's doable. So both sides claim. Some people say it's over-reporting, it's under-reporting. But it is the best system that we have. It is run by the government. And I would say between the manufacturers, health people, and people that are, risking a penalty if they lie, I would say it's the best we have. I mean, that's all I can really say. So when Marjorie Taylor Greene talks about this and she gets censored, here's all I want to say, because I can't tell you what she said. It's a thing that they want you to think doesn't exist because it's bad for the narrative. If you know that there are some people that are negatively affected by the product that they know that there's people negatively affected by, because that's just the equation when you give it to millions and billions of people, they will try to eliminate you from the conversation. They don't care if you're Rachel Maddow and you lie in favor of their product. They don't care if you're Joe Biden and you lie in favor of their product. They don't care if you're Rochelle Walensky, head of the CDC, and you push misinformation and convince millions of people that you can't get or spread this illness if you get the shot, which ended up not being true. They're not really concerned with misinformation from what I've seen in big tech. They're more concerned with anybody, whether it's true or false, who pushes back against their narratives that these things are the greatest thing ever known. Like Trump says, it's like the greatest medical achievement. It's safe. It's effective. You should get it all the time. Like anybody that's not just like gung-ho about it will be at some point probably censored or flagged, because that's what they're doing. So as far as VAERS, this is all I want to say. I have been more inspired now after that and Robert Malone to get on Getter, to get on Gab, to get on, BitChute and Rumble. I've already been on those, but I'm more inspired than ever because the First Amendment in this country talks about the freedom of speech. You have the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression, and we're losing that because big tech controls most of the conversation. They've censored a lot of Reddit. They've censored Facebook. They've censored Twitter. So now we're all caught in this world where you're not even allowed to talk about VAERS, even though it's a government program and it's real. I don't know what the numbers are. I've heard stories about how high they are recently. I can't confirm that because I haven't, it's kind of hard really to do research. I do pretty good research, but it's not easy to find this stuff because they bury it on Google. They act like it's crazy. And this is all I want to say. VAERS is real. Whether every reporting in there is 100% accurate or not, I can't tell you, but it's real. And the reason they made it was to monitor injuries, because once they took away the liability from big pharma for injury, side effects, and deaths for certain products, they wanted to database it. So this was kind of the compromise. Like, yeah, we'll give you, a liability shield from side effects and injuries for your products, but we're also going to create a database and make sure that we keep an eye on it in case there's too many. That was the agreement in order to get all this stuff rolled out. So now what you have is these vaccines, the mRNA injections from Pfizer, Moderna, and the Johnson & Johnson double shot. These are protected under the PrEP Act, PrEP Act, signed under George Bush. If you look it up, essentially what it says is under an emergency, they can do what the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act does, which is have no liability for side effects, injuries, and deaths under their product. So these vaccines are protected under the PrEP Act. But under the NCVIA and under the PrEP Act, this is why the VAERS exists, because it's like, yes, you might be rushed sometimes. Yes, you might have to get it out quickly sometimes. Yes, the manufacturer might lose, not have to have as much liability as before, but at least we're going to report it. At least we're going to make sure healthcare providers have to report it. We're going to make sure the manufacturers have to report it. We're going to keep tabs on it, and we're going to look at it. And we're supposed to talk about it. It's not like they just keep this database so nobody can talk about it. So the fact that they're censoring people for talking about it as if it doesn't even exist and it's some sort of conspiracy theory is so evil. What they're doing is beyond evil. People try to look at World War II and say, how did it happen? It happened because they did wicked, evil things. And a lot of people just, thought it was the easy route to just not go along with it or not say anything. And I'm not trying to over compare it, but it's like, this is like fundamentally not what it was made for. It was not made to act like it doesn't exist. And if you talk about it, you're a lunatic. It was made to keep tabs on what I just told you. So the fact that these manufacturers are completely or at least very shielded from financial liability for, bad things that happen to people who take their product, no matter how small or big that number is. And this database was created to keep tabs on that, which now you're not allowed to talk about. It's time to start using Telegram. It's time to start using Gab. It's time to start using Rumble and BitChute. It's time to start using Getter. It's time to start using any platform that you can freely talk and organize and have conversations about this stuff, whether you agree with what I'm saying or not. It's time to start using even some of your energy on that. Some people said Odyssey. He seems like an epic CEO. My favorite personally, I haven't met him and I can't say everything, but I like the Gab guy on Twitter. I think he seems pretty epic and, super raw. So although I don't use Gab much, I want to more because I really like the founder. He was kicked off everything. He's trying to make his own platform, his own, financial system and create his own parallel economy, he calls it. I love that. It looks like that's what's going to have to be done because these people are not going to stop and we have to keep free speech in this country. On that note, Robert Malone, I'm not going to say he's the inventor of mRNA. He claims to be the inventor of mRNA. Everybody says he's the inventor of mRNA. He says he has multiple patents on mRNA technology, which I'm guessing he probably does. I don't think he would lie about that. But what I'm personally saying, just to be safe and honest, I don't know whether he's the inventor or not, but he claims to have patents. And one thing that's for sure, even his biggest critics admit that he was one of the people involved in the revolution of mRNA technology. So this is something that you're going to start to see a lot and a lot and a lot. Some of the innovators in history, the scientists that they tell you not to question, all of the smart ones are the ones that they don't want to talk to. Like, for instance, Kary Mullis is the PCR test inventor. He invented the PCR test pretty much by himself. I mean, he had like a team of some sort, but I would say it came from his brain. I get deleted and censored for posting Kary Mullis's videos. Trust the scientist, just not the PCR test founder and inventor who's using one of the most important, if not the most important scientific tool that has made this whole pandemic possible. Reading PCR tests and saying that people are sick from COVID-19. You can't talk about him. What about Luc Montagnier? Look up Luc Montagnier. He is a Nobel Prize winning scientist who allegedly isolated and found the HIV virus. That's what he is known for. He constantly railed against the pandemic and they censored videos of him. he constantly rails against the medical industry, and they censored videos from him. So you have the PCR test inventor get censored. You have the HIV founder get censored, which, by the way, the HIV virus, like, there's not that many, like, discoveries in the last 20 or 30 years. So you're talking about the test they're using and the virus that Fauci freaked out about 20 years ago. Okay, let's move on. You have Robert Malone, who claims to be the inventor of mRNA, and his biggest haters say that he was an innovator. So he was one of the founding members to really invent, create, revolutionize, somehow, push along this mRNA technology. He can't be part of the discussion. You're injecting mRNA technology into tens of millions of people for the first time ever, billions of people, and the one of the people on the team that pushed that technology along, he can't be a part of the discussion. How about Peter McCullough, who in his field he claims to be and says he is, and no one's really questioning at this point, the most published author when it comes to peer-reviewed studies, et cetera, in his field? He can't be a part of the discussion. So anybody who got brainwashed into thinking, oh, all the scientists agree, the science is settled, don't question the science, that's called propaganda. Like Aaron Rodgers said, if it's science you can't question, it's propaganda. And there's no such thing. First of all, they don't agree with all the scientists. They try to take licenses away and censor and badmouth any scientist and any doctor who disagrees with them. So this is not like all the geniuses agree. It's like all the smartest people who invented things and discovered things that these idiots could never discover. They're the ones getting kicked out of the discussion because they're not just normie, like sheep-like NPCs. And then you have this idea, the biggest lie in science in the last 10 years is when they're trying to brainwash people to talk about, this or climate change. And I'm not saying that anything about it, but I'm just saying they keep saying the science is settled. The science is settled. It's a scientific consensus. First of all, science doesn't settle. It's not like it's over, let's give up, we know everything we need to know. There's still the sun and volcanoes and earthquakes and human nature, and we haven't even figured out how the brain works completely because we have only, the ocean is mostly unexplored. We're still learning. You have to be humble enough to know, yes, we know a lot. Yes, we've invented a lot and created a lot, and some things we seem pretty sure. But the smartest scientists on the planet's like, but you could still question me. And if you can prove that I'm wrong via experimentation and some sort of equation, then I'll concede. So there is no such thing as science is settled. And also, there's this idea that it's a popularity contest. Well, the scientific consensus said, well, 98% of scientists agree. Do people know how inventions and innovations work and creations? Did the scientific popularity team, the mean girls of the science community, did they invent the plane? No, I think it was the Wright brothers because they did it. It's not like, well, we've decided that humans can't fly and 98% of us. Who cares, losers? Somebody went out there and built a plane. Now the science says humans can fly. Let's go on to, the invention of DNA, or the discovery of DNA. It wasn't the whole scientific community. It was Watson and Crick. The PCR test, everybody didn't invent it. Nobody knew how. Nobody could even think like that. It was Kary Mullis because he was super smart and he did a lot of acid. So somehow he figured it out on his LSD, journey. I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying that's what he wrote in his book, that he was doing a lot of LSD, thinking all different, and he figured out how to create a PCR test. It wasn't every scientist who created the PCR test. It was Kary Mullis. So the point I'm getting to is there is no such thing as a scientific consensus. It's a popularity contest. We all agree. So this is what you can't question. This is authoritarianism. This is propaganda. You can call it communism. You could call it fascism. I don't care what you call it, as long as you know it's wrong and as long as you know it's tyrannical. That's what's going on, folks. So it's time to look at other platforms. I'm not going 100% to these platforms. I'm still very financially dependent on certain platforms on here, but I'm going to start weaning off, trying to sell more hats, sell more stuff that I believe in, to have more power and control over my life. I already do, but you get what I'm saying. It's like I would love to, whether it's 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, start to, filter some of my attention to other platforms than I already have. My Telegram has 70,000 people follow me on there. My BitChute, I think I have 15,000 subscribers, over 1 million views. My Gab, I have 12,000 subscribers. I don't even follow it. So I'm going to start to say even more stuff on these platforms. And, I think we have power in number. Joe Rogan, he has the most powerful podcasts on the planet, and he constantly keeps hosting people who've been censored and silenced and putting even more attention on them. That's so great. This is keeping free speech alive in a weird way. I'm not saying it's the be all end all. There's people going even further, but as far as sheer number of people being able to tune into Robert Malone and stuff, this is like really important. So we got to ride this wave and do our part and really, keep doing this. And hopefully more people like Joe and people that are even, go even further than Joe, hopefully they can attain, big audiences and stuff, and then use their power like he did to say, peace, I'm out, I'm going to Spotify, and Spotify's not going to tell me to shut up. He said way more in the last year than he has ever. I believe it's because, as much as, and people could have their theories on Rogan, et cetera. I don't care. You're not going to bother me. But as much as Spotify has a lot of power, yeah, Spotify is a multi-billion-dollar company. But they gave Joe Rogan like I don't know the exact number, but I believe they gave him like an $100 million salary of some sort or some sort of deal. So now he has a lot of power. What are you going to fire me? You just gave me $100 million. What are you going to kick me out and ruin your contract because there's a feminist lady who doesn't like Robert Malone? It's like he's got power too, and that's how the world works, folks. Don't think of yourself as a victim. I can't get there. There's different type of power. Obviously, there's financial power, which you're very well aware of. There's spiritual power. That's an energy that you can have $1 trillion and you still can't attain. There's mental power. There's, I would say social power, where it's like, oh, I don't have all the money in the world, but if I say something, 1 million people are going to see it. So there's all different types of power. Don't play the victim and be like, oh, I'll never be that type of person. Some of the wealthiest people in the world who have like billions upon billions of dollars, they have no social power. Nobody likes them. Nobody cares about them. You know what I'm saying? They can't disseminate a message as well as somebody who has no money. So understand in this world, this is the 2022 vibes. You have power of some sort and just use it, for the better. And hopefully we can all in our own way do something to alleviate that power structure big tech has and how they're really just taking over the country and the world in this like big pharma hellhole in which you can't even talk about things like mRNA innovators like Robert Malone or the database that the government themselves created to look at adverse reactions. I mean, it's unbelievable, but I'm feeling very positive today. Follow me on any of those platforms. I'll still be on Facebook. I'll still be on YouTube. I'll still be on Twitter. I'll still be on Instagram. I'll still be on TikTok. It might as well be TikTok. Ticky tack fouls. That's every time they censor my video. It's like they're so goofy on TikTok, but I'll still use that until the wheels fall off. But I will work on posting more to these other platforms, creating my own and figuring out a way to get the message out at all costs. Thank y'all. I want to talk about before I end. Actually, I want to take some of my coffee real quick while it's hot. This is, if you guys know, this is, I won't say one of my favorite movies because I like that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. What's it called? With the Turbo Man? Jingle All the Way. I like Jingle All the Way. I like Rudolph. I like the claymation. I like Mr. Heat Miser. I like the one with the snow miser. So I'm not going to say my favorite movie because I got ones above that. I like all those movies I mentioned above this. Home Alone, obviously awesome. But I do like Elf. It's one of the recent movies in the last 10, 20 years that I think is actually pretty epic and pretty funny. We like to watch that sometimes in my family. They're trying to cancel it in Business Insider. They're saying Elf makes fun of disabled adults through Buddy, whether purposely or not. And if you read this article, you go on this journey of really just hearing how this is such a horrible movie because it makes fun of disabled adults. I want to say a personal experience before I weigh in on that. I was at this, I forget what it's called, NAM, I believe, not Vietnam, but NAM. It's some big music conference. I went one time with my buddy and I was freestyling outside. Like some guy was just playing the drums and I'm out here freestyling. I'm saying words and I said, I'm going to slow it down. And then I said the word RETARDED. Okay. I don't know if I could say that word anymore because we live in an authoritarian psychosis where they say that that's a bad word, even though it's a dictionary. But I said, I'm going to slow it down. And then this lady comes up to me afterwards and she goes, I wish you wouldn't say that because I run a charity of people that are, have this illness and whatever. And I'm like, do you know what that word means? Look it up in it means to slow down. I didn't say you're an R word or I'm that. It's like, I just said, slow it down. It's retarded, and it's like, she thought I was like hating on everyone. And this is like how social justice turns into authoritarianism. You want to burn dictionaries now because you've taken one of the words out of context and it hurts your feelings. It's like, it's not all about you. And in general, like people need to learn what words actually mean. That was like years ago, but I was like, what? Do you realize that word means to slow down progressively? And that's how I used it in my rap. And that was like a weird in of what they're trying to do. And even here, they're like, well, we've determined that Elf is making fun of disabled adults, and we don't like that. And we want this, it's bad. What is comedy? What makes comedy funny? What makes movies funny? Have you ever seen a movie where everyone just gets along? Hey, I'm Jim. Hey, I'm Bill. Oh, cool. We agree on everything. Oh, yeah. There's no bad person in this movie. There's no villain. Villains don't exist in this world. We live in a utopian, world sponsored by T-Mobile 5G. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like we live in the perfect world. That there's no movie like that. Why? Because it wouldn't be interesting. No movie has no characters that are bad. No movie has every characters that agree on everything. That's why movies suck now, because they're trying to we're only going to joke about things that we find not offensive, and we're going to make sure the cast is diverse and there's no, it's like, then good luck making the dumbest movies ever. What is comedy? What do you make fun of? A lot of things: tall, small, fat, skinny, man, woman, race, religion, gender, differences in culture. Like there's got to be an angle where it doesn't mean like white people are bad or Asians are bad, but if you have like a white person go into Koreatown and you make a joke about the white person or the Korean, it doesn't mean you hate white people or Koreans. It just means that was the comedic situation. Like you have two people with different cultures and they're not always speaking exactly, the same lingo, and something funny happened and you're like, oh, that's my joke. It's like they jump to conclude, well, you must hate that person. Well, you must hate that person. Well, you must hate disabled people. It's like, you can't make a joke if there's no punchline. There is no comedy, no entertainment, nothing in a world where everything is offensive. This is why movies are garbage now. This is why a lot of music is garbage now, except for the song I'm dropping with Bryson Gray on Friday. I think it's going to be one of my sickest songs ever. Me and Bryson Gray got a song and a music video. But in general, it's like, what don't they get about this? Even if you were to make fun of somebody disabled or somebody black or somebody Hispanic or somebody, a woman or whatever, they hate Dave Chappelle because he says transgender things or whatever. It's like, what do you want him to say? Like, what's the punchline in the movie? Like Elf goes to the North Pole and he fits in just perfectly. It doesn't matter that he's a little, weird. He fits in like a glove. I mean, all the elves love him. There's no joke. It's like, it's not funny anymore. You know what I'm saying? He has to be a goofball. It's your weirdo. You're like, this reminds me of this. It's like, I never even thought of that. I never once thought, oh my God, he reminds me of someone disabled. Like, it almost seems like you're the hateful person. Like, you're like, oh, that must be what that is. I'm like, I just thought it was funny because he's like a goofy guy that's tall, because he's not an elf, you idiot. He's not one, like not everybody watches that movie and it's like, oh, is he making fun of disabled people? It's like the punchline is he's a human in a world with elves and they're all really small and he's really tall and he's a goofball. It wouldn't be funny if this wasn't happening. There has to be some sort of like angle, and this is why SNL is so garbage nowadays and Michael Shea cries about Tim Dillon or whatever. It's garbage because everybody's afraid to do something that's actually funny, so it's always like propaganda. It's like Joe Rogan eats horse wormer and Joe Rogan is rah, rah, rah. It's like, is that funny? Because you can make fun of Joe Rogan. In fact, Owen Benjamin does it constantly and it's pretty funny, but in general, it's like, it's not that Joe Rogan's above being joked about or I'm above being joked about or Ted Cruz is above being joked about. It's just like, what's the point of making that specific bit? It's like, he has too much attention. He's getting really popular. He's trying to explain something that we're trying to cover up on behalf of Big Pharma. So let's just, do what we can to shut that up and it's not funny anymore because there's no angle to it. It's just like political and pharmaceutical propaganda, and it's not even good political or pharmaceutical propaganda. So these people don't get that. On a positive note, God bless my boy Will Ferrell, and hopefully nobody cares because that movie's so popular. But the positive note is this: the fact that they're so stupid and so pathetic and so annoying, it makes so much room for other people. People like Ryan Long. I told you Owen Benjamin. I'm trying to think of like Danny who works with Ryan. You got, JP Sears, Stone Toss Comics made by Jim Bob. There's different people that are now becoming superstars because it's like people are so tired of just like blah. So if someone, goes against the grain, it's even bigger now. These people are, probably bigger than they've ever been, or more, more watched and more listened to, because it's like they're saying things that are considered edgy, and everything's considered edgy. So, some people literally don't care and go the full distance, and other people just joke about liberals because no one else is doing it. And it's been a hit. So just to wrap it up, you can have comedy or entertainment if everybody agrees on everything. And that's what they want to build, this world that everybody thinks the same way, dresses the same way, talks the same, thinks exactly about race the same, everything, religion's the same, gender doesn't matter. And if you disagree, you're a homophobe or something. And, there's no room for making fun of this, or this, because that's hate speech. Then make a movie where everybody gets along, and there is no villain, because villains are mean. It's like, duh, there's a bad character in Turbo Man. Jingle All the Way, you have Sinbad. He's the bad guy, but at the end, it's like you kind of feel bad for him or whatever. It's like, that's the whole point. There is no comedy if you don't make fun of something, and nobody is above being joked about. This is authoritarianism disguised as social justice. And this is what they're doing through medicine, through public health, through racism, through sexism, through xenophobia, anti Semitism, whatever word ism. This is what they're doing at this point in time. They're not interested in stopping hate. They're not interested in really figuring out why some people are so nasty and trying to make them not nasty or protecting themselves. It's all about social, political, financial, and speech control through abusing these words and calling everybody a bigot to then take over, force mask, force inject. Look how quickly it went from, oh, we're just marching for women's rights, to wear your mask and take 3 injections and lock down and destroy your family owned business. And if you don't, you're a racist because Black and Hispanic people are getting more hurt by this virus. Like, it didn't take very long to get to that point. And the counter side, I'm not trying to pander, because in my opinion, God bless everybody. But in general, it's like they'll use racism to say, you can't, go against the virus, or you're hurting Black and Hispanic people. Meanwhile, they're only giving pills, or they're prioritizing Black and Hispanic people with the pills to systemically and racially hurt, white people. And then they're destroying, like, I looked at the numbers in RFK's new book about Black owned businesses. It's like, they're destroying Black owned businesses. Black people who've created wealth by working hard in this country had a lot of it taken away during the pandemic. So it's like, these people are such snakes. They act like they're like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X combined, and they're really like Mao Zedong with a cloth mask on their face. And then they censor you if you say that it's not the greatest thing ever. Like, YouTube gave me a strike. I'm so sorry, YouTube. Yes, they're so great. Wear them everywhere, and it's so awesome and healthy, and there's no negative, there's no collateral damage whatsoever. It's totally worth it. It's like, is that what you idiots want me to say? I don't care. Follow me on Gab, follow me on BitChute, follow me on Rumble, follow me on Telegram, follow me on Instagram until they do something. And that's what we're going to do. We'll get our message out on Facebook, we'll get our message out on YouTube, and then we're going to start using these other platforms, saying more, pushing the boundaries, and, fighting back against the elimination of free speech in this country. That's how they're doing it. And these people that claim, oh, just make your own platform, and then you make your own platform like Gab, and then they're like, but they're bigots. It's like, they're real color show. They don't want you to make your own community and platform. They want to like harass you everywhere you go. And I'm not just going to blame left wingers for this, because honestly, the Republican Party, in my opinion, is mostly like pathetic and doesn't do anything. They just pretend to. But in general, this is like the left wing way. They want to take your taxes. They want to restrict your Second Amendment. They want to restrict your First Amendment. They're like leeches. They just won't leave you alone. And then you're literally like, okay, you win. I won't use your bank. I won't use your website. I won't use your cities. I won't go to your shows. I'm not going to watch Rage Machine again at the banking bowl. I'm not going to do what you want to do. Fine, you win, left wingers. You do that weirdo medical health stuff like a Black Mirror episode. I'm going to go over here. And then they go where you go and it's like they don't want to leave you alone. And you just have to look at any social media, Parlor, Gab, Get, whatever, anybody that's trying to build outside of them. Look what happens when they build outside of them and try to create a parallel economy like Gab. Then they start gunning for their servers and this and that. Gab has done the most to really push back and build their own servers, build their own payment processors because they've got taken off it. It's like these people lie when they tell you that they just want to leave you alone and they don't want you on their platforms and you have the freedom of speech, just not on their platforms. Then leave us the hell alone. And that's the future of, I think, America is like, figure out a way to get these people off your back because they're never going to stop. It's not like they just want to control their own social media. They want to control everything. They're control freaks. And that's really the difference between left and right-wing philosophy. Republicans just have to realize that Trump and the Republicans are not libertarians. They're like socialist communists pretending to be like, Ron Paul, and they're clearly not. But in general, the people, right wingers want to be like left alone and have some sort of privacy and freedom. And the left, through manipulation of social justice, environmentalism, public health, don't realize that they just are annoying and they won't leave anybody alone. It's like New York sucks now. You've ruined so many things that I love. Leave me alone. Do it. I don't care. I'll never go to New York City again and I won't shed a single tear. There's a lot of places for me to go. Have your stupid city. Just stop ruining everywhere. The new mayor is doing exactly what Bill de Blasio said. I believe he ran saying, oh, I won't do that. He's doing it too. Do it. Have the city of Sodom. I want no part in it. Cool. Yeah, forced mask everybody, forced injections, passports everywhere. Just stay there. And, conservatives and smart libertarians, find somewhere in this country and make it awesome and make sure these people don't do it there. I want to read one more thing before I really get to questions and stuff. This is a Marjorie Taylor Greene Instagram post that I liked. She was talking about Dan Crenshaw, everybody's favorite, never mind. She posted a Fox News article that said Crenshaw said, federal government should be using FEMA resources to bolster testing sites. The Texas congressman also says Biden should be aiding U.S. supply and healthcare systems, to which Marjorie responded, no, FEMA should not set up testing sites to check for Omicron, cough, sneezes, and runny nose. And we don't need FEMA in hospitals. They should hire back all the unvaccinated healthcare workers they fired. He needs to stop calling himself conservative. He's hurting our brand. So, Marjorie, out of everybody in the Republican Party, she's definitely got some, gonadas, but not really, unless never mind. But you get what I'm saying. She's got a little strength. I happen to agree with her. I mean, dude, Dan Crenshaw, he's like, I'm a conservative. Let's get FEMA to do more testing. It's like, bro, just leave us alone. I'm tired of these Republicans acting like Republicans, and they're like, red flag laws, speech laws for Israel, more testing. It's like, get away, Crenshaw. This is why we lose. We have idiots like that, and people are like, but they sound good on The View. Who cares? I'll take Looney Tune Marjorie Taylor Greene over Crenshaw any day. She's totally right about that. This is the Republican Party. What if we just fed you the left-wing agenda, but with a cowboy hat on? It's like, that's why I say Republicans, they wear cowboy hats and lose in slow motion. My favorite picture is like Crenshaw with Ben Shapiro, and they're like standing side by side at a whopping like 5'5" or whatever they are. I'm just kidding. But in general, they're like standing with a cowboy hat on, and it's like, we the page. I'm like, bro, what is this? Is it time to bomb Syria again or something? What type of conservative values do you have for us? And I just thought that was a funny picture because I'm like, it's so classic conservative. They just like slap on cowboy hats and like, anyway, I'm gonna get myself in trouble, but it's like, just stop, Crenshaw. All right, let's read some comments. Someone said, never been to NYC. Oh man, it was the city of lights. It has good energy. I mean, it's a tough city to live in. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I love New York. It just sucks now. I don't want to, it's like entering like a hospital slave camp. It's like, do you have your papers? Papers. It's like, I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be around these people. I want to read something real quick and then I'll read some comments as well. This is a tweet that I had. I just want to read it because it's just, I said this like a year ago. I think Chris Sky has said this a bunch of times, but this is kind of like what's going on. I said feverishly following orders from authoritarians who move the goalposts every month doesn't end the pandemic. Quite the opposite, actually. Like the people who are following everything, they're like, if you do this, we'll give you this, and then you do it, and then they move it here, and then you do that, and then they move it there, 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 and then they move it there. I don't live in your world, okay? If you want to live amongst fully vaccinated people, go to Antarctica and you'll catch Omicron like the people that are there now, okay? Even though there's nobody else there. And then you won't have anybody to blame. But it's like you do everything they tell you. They move the goalposts a million times, and then you blame people who are just standing still. This is like the equivalent. You're like, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's you. Get the test. Get the jab. Get your booster shot. What the heck? Dude, come on, dude. Just put on a 2-ply mask. No, put it on. It works. Wait, no. Put a second one on. Put a second one on. Dude, come on, dude. Get your fourth one in Israel. Don't you want to go to the gay parade in Jerusalem? And like, we're just sitting here, literally, like, I'm just like sitting here, like lifting weights. And you're like, and like, people are like, I'm getting fatter. I'm shoved up with pills. This is how you're healthy. This is how you get healthy. You got to just, eat high fructose corn syrup and eat dough conditioner that's illegal in the European Union. Dude, just get your freaking 7th shot. And like, I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, do you really believe yourself? Like, are you just like lying or caught in like a movie that's not real? Or do you believe yourself? Like, because I'm just like working out, trying to eat better, playing sports, not listening to them. I'm like, it doesn't even really bother me that much anymore. I'm just like, oh, I don't live in that world. I don't hang around people who do that. When people try to like drag me into their world, it happened 2 days ago. I walked in somewhere and they're like, hey, excuse me, sir, get your mask on. I'm like, no, I'm good, bro. And he's like, dude, you can't eat here. And then it's like, F you, you're a slave. You're going to be stuck that way forever. You're an idiot. Go F yourself. Happy New Year. And then I just yell at everybody. I'm like, wake up, dummies. And then I'm out. And then it's like, I walk to the next door and they're like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, how are you? And then I give them a huge tip for not being an idiot. That's the world I live in. I don't have any time to let these people bring me into their sicko world. It's like, do you know how to be healthy? Do you know what it's like to not live like a abused show animal? If not, it's fine. Just leave me alone. I'm over it. Someone said pure American. I do what I can. Need my water. Someone said, Christopher said, you ain't fit. You run around your chair and you out of breath. I mean, did I done play expose myself? You're like, bro, you act like you're so in shape. You run around your chair 5 times. You're sweating like a grease monkey out here. Maybe I need to get back on the Stairmaster. You should fat shame me. Be like, Anomaly, you're not fat, but you're not in shape. That's gonna just drive me even further. I'm like, oh yeah. Let's turn this into a workout then. I like a good exercise shame. It's like, Anomaly, you look out of shape. You don't played yourself. That's how we take it to the next level. I like when someone tells me I can't do anything. I'm already jacked off this year because I'm trying to do some business deals and they're always giving me crappy deals. And now I don't even want to take it to the next level. I'm just trying to like retire on a boat somewhere, but now I can't go on a cruise, but now I can't go here. I'm like, now I have to take it to this level just to show, I love when people jab at me because it makes me be like, all right, now I got to show you where we're going. And you got to be another person and say, oh, I thought you weren't going to do that. And it's, don't play myself. I am maybe it's the coffee or something. I'm now making excuses. I gotta do some deep sea diving, do some breath work or something. Get on my what's that guy's name who does the breath work? Not Jocko, the other guy. Whatever. Someone said weak. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. I fuel off it. I fuel off the competition. Someone said Orange Theory Fitness. Isn't that a place? No, I don't go there, but Wim Hof. Yeah, I got to get on my Wim Hof. Whew. I don't blame myself. Hey, bro, look up the past New York mayor, a Central America trained Marxist. I'll check it out. You talking about Bill de Blasio? More like Shill de Blasio. More like William Shilhelm III. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Bella Italian. Appreciate it. Someone said people are setting themselves on fire in Australia. What? I don't even know what that means, but I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a health coach. However, do not set yourself on fire. That sounds like a horrible idea. So I don't know who's doing that or why, but I would recommend not doing that, although it's not my field of expertise. Someone said curfew starts in 3 hours in Quebec. Yo, this is crazy stuff. This is like human slavery disguised as public health. Be like, we're going to shut your business down, strap cloth over your breathing holes, like ignore the fact that childhood obesity is rising, keep selling you shitty products on television and closing down places that you can exercise. It's straight up abusive. Like, I can't believe people are putting up with this. It's crazy. I don't, I'm so grateful to be in America. Like, thank God. I'm sorry. No offense, Canada, but like what are you guys doing? At least we have like parts of Texas and Idaho and Florida and Tennessee, even in California. California is better than there. You just avoid San Francisco and Los Angeles and you're good. I can't believe that people are like dealing with this. Like I'm totally done. It's just like I don't live in that world. All right, let me read some of the stars. Somebody gave a lot of stars. Thank you guys. Sorry, I don't read these as much. All right, Jody Lehman, thank you so much. I got to shout out Facebook. Facebook is like my most valuable audience. I don't mean to neglect you. It's just my screen is smaller, so I always kind of play to my YouTube base. I shouldn't do that though. I get more people on Facebook. My bad. Star Lily gave 1,000 stars. Thank you. She said in 2022, this is a good goal. Get back to the basics of what make us happy. Anomaly. I didn't even know I said that, but thanks for the quote. I'm feeling like Gandhi now. No, but yeah, have a good time. Amanda, thank you for the stars. Jennifer, thank you for the stars. Linda, thank you for the stars. Ben Burden, thank you for the stars. Diane gave me a cross, a Christian cross, a peace sign, and a heart. God bless you, Diane McBroom. Jessica, thank you. Sherry, thank you. Teresa, thank you. Tia, thank you. Anthony Reyes, thank you. Chase, thank you. Pierre Vegas, thank you. That's an epic name, Pierre Vegas. You just walk around in a top hat, you probably be pulling everybody. They're like, dang, that's a fresh name. Luis, John, Erica, Minerva, Chase, Lynn said, love you, Anomaly. Thank you. Delmar. Sheesh. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Someone said, did Gandhi have children? I don't know. I don't know that much about Gandhi. I just brought his name up. I apologize. Thank you, Dark Jai. Someone said, watch James Corbett over at the Corbett Report. I've heard good things. I'm not sure if I've ever seen it, but I've heard good things about that guy. Someone said Gab TV. I'm going to try to post to Gab more. I like the CEO. At least I like whoever runs their Twitter. He seems epic. I like some of his takes a lot. So I'm going to try to post on there more. Someone said people are trapped in some places. It's very creepy times. It's very creepy. They arrested Pastor Art again. Yo, Canada is such a mess. It's so crazy. It's so crazy how quickly this all happened. It's like under the guise of public health, they just went full psychopath. It sucks. Someone said, stop watching TV and watch the world change in as little as 10 years. Yeah, TV sucks for multiple reasons. Like, I think TV sucks. The worst thing about television is the commercials. They're so bad. They're so bad. Even the commercials I get on YouTube and Facebook and stuff, they're not that bad because it's like things that they've like siphoned through all my data. So it's usually pretty targeted to me. They're like, do you like this? And I'm like, how'd you know? They're like, because we steal all your shit. But in general, like TV ads are so gross. It's like, they're like, do you want this pill? Do you want this food? It's like, it's just gross. Like, I feel gross watching TV. It's such a gross thing. And then people are just yelling at each other. Like Mario Lopez is dancing and he looks good for his age. He looks the same way he did when he was like 30. It's like, no offense to Mario Lopez, bro. I done seen you dance for 30 years, dude. I'm over it. You got like Animal Planet. You got Pawn Stars. I already seen the Pawn Stars, You got like the Impractical Jokers. I'm like, it's funny, bro, but you guys got the same reruns as 50 years ago. No, I'm just kidding. But, TV's okay. Even like ESPN now, it's like you're watching like ESPN's like MSNBC now. They're like do you want to watch sports highlights? And I'm like, yeah, I love sports. And they're like, what if we just like turned into CNN? And you're like, don't do that. They're like, University of Oklahoma won the game by 30. They're like, but we got an anonymous report that the quarterback might have raped somebody 15 years ago, although it's probably not true. We're going to just talk about it and make you feel like crap. And it's like, I'm not saying there's not a place for that, but it's like MSNBC now. It's like, can I just watch the sports highlights and then like we can have 50 other channels where you talk about that? You got to make it like a whole dramatic like thing, but I get it. Someone said Pfizer owns the media at this point. So tiny. No, dude, Pfizer is just a really ethical company that just cares about you so much. I mean, my goodness. I mean, Albert Bourla, that's such a selfless man. Man, like, could you imagine putting your career on the line for Operation Warp Speed and, all these, really just crushing and just trying your best just to save humanity and just, guzzling tens of billions of dollars of profit for your company? Like, could you imagine how hard that must have been for him? To sell his product to the whole world and have zero liability for side effects, injuries, and deaths while the government was forcing people to take his product. I feel bad for the guy. I mean, dude, he's a selfless man. All meanwhile, you're just guzzling tens of billions of profits. That's got to be tough. That's got to be a hard business to be in. A product that you have zero financial liability for side effects, injuries, and deaths that the government forces everybody to get. So it's not even possible to not get. Meanwhile, the government bought it, paid it, subsidized for it. So it's free, AKA our taxpayer money that he somehow gets the profits for. Man, it's got to be tough being Albert Bourla, man. That guy deserves a Nobel Prize, to be knighted in England, next to Mick Jagger, a statue next to George Floyd. That would be like perfect. Honestly, I would sign that position. It's like, they need to put a Albert Bourla, like a Pfizer CEO statue of him with vaccines in his hand, like right next to George Floyd. And then in 75 years, they'll be like, "Ma, who's that?" You're like, "Oh, that's the CEO of Pfizer. He saved the whole planet with his Operation Warp Speed Trump pumps. Trump saved the whole world. Who's that next to him? That's George Floyd. An American hero." And then I would be fine with that. And I feel like if there's anybody who wouldn't, seems a little racist and conspiratorial. And we don't do that here. So let's calm it down. Let me see. Thank y'all for the stars. You don't have to do that, but you can. I'm just kidding. All right, 57 minutes. Let's keep it under an hour. I think we should keep it under an hour. That's a good thing. So I just want to say real quick, all my media and content is under my description or the title. Follow me on anything. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Follow me wherever you want. Don't follow me at all. I don't care. But I'm going to be doing a lot of work, and whatever happens, I'll just bounce around the platforms. But I will try to, give some more things to other platforms that are not Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Come March, I'm going to have, for the first time, I'm going to try out something new and have somebody working for me and with me. And I'm going to have more time than I've ever had because right now I do everything. So once that happens, I'll then, instead of just posting some videos to Rumble and some videos to Gab, etc., and BitChute, all of my videos go on BitChute. But in general, I'm going to have those posted to other platforms. I'm going to try to do more and scale what I'm doing without giving up the quality of what I'm doing. I'm going to have some help. And I think that's going to go a long way because right now I balance everything myself. So hopefully I'll be able to build my USA Products Only website a little bit more too, and stuff that I've been trying to do that I've been squeezed on time. Hopefully I'll be able to do even more videos, more stuff, better quality. And that's what it is. Real quick, Friday. It's Sunday now. This Friday, I'm releasing a song with Bryson Gray. If you guys don't know Bryson Gray, he's a conservative rap artist, very talented, very good. We have a song, we have a music video. It came out great. I'm really excited with the final product, and it's coming out Friday. We'll see what happens. I believe we'll probably hit #1 on the iTunes charts just with me and Bryson's audience. I'm trying to hit the Billboard charts. I mean, I don't really care that much, but I know Bryson's done it before, and I think we could pull it off. It's a good song, it's a good video, and that would be really epic if we hit the Hot 100 Billboard charts, because I think we'll hit #1 on iTunes, no problem. But if we hit the #1 Billboard charts, that would be pretty historic, especially as an independent artist, no label, no management, literally just me and Bryson. So check out for that Friday. I don't really push my music that much here. A lot of people like it. A lot of people obviously don't, that are here for politics and news analysis. Sometimes I got people like, and I'm going to just stick to Trump talk. And I'm like, all right, geez, I don't, it's not like I push it all the time, but in general, it's a great song, great video. And come Friday, I am going to push it a little bit because I really want to try to hit the Billboard chart. So keep an eye for that. It's dope. There's no curses in the music. There's no, it's children friendly. Although I don't know, the topics are pretty adult, but Bryson doesn't curse this music. And I think that's great. So it's no swear words. That's what it is. Have a beautiful day. I'll be back soon. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully it didn't get censored. If it does for some reason, we got Getter, Gab, BitChute, Rumble, all in the description. Check them out if you don't use them already. And if you do, follow me on there. Have a good one. And that's what it is. Someone said, shout out Betty Crocker. Why not? Although the ingredients are kind of garbage, but whatever.